What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Pro Superhero YouTube video. Today I'm going to be talking about a hunter loadout that I've enjoyed running with dual sidearms. So I know the sidearm is actually in a pretty decent spot. It's not overpowered, but in the right hands you can use it to a great degree. But putting on double sidearms limits you when it comes to range engagements. And I figured, let's see if we can make this work and have a viable loadout to use in the Crucible. So let's just get right into it. So with the past loadouts, I've focused on a specific subclass to use to pair perfectly with what the rest of the loadout's going to be. But for this one, it doesn't really matter. I just chose to be on a hunter doing Way of the Trapper to have the invisibility, which is really fun when you're doing close quarters combat loadouts. But any of the hunter subclasses will work just fine, depending on what you like the most or how your playstyle is. I don't really like the super for Way of the Trapper. I prefer offensive supers, roaming supers, but the invisibility is just too hard to turn down for this loadout. I went with the two sidearms with the name Travelers in them. So that's Traveler's Chosen, which is the exotic sidearm. The Traveler's Chosen is really fun. You can make some multitude of builds with this exotic, and its intrinsic trait is Gathering Light. So final blows with this weapon grant stacks of Gathering Light. You consume the stacks, and in turn that will grant melee, grenade, and class ability energy based on the number of stacks. From what I found, a single kill is 3, another kill is 6, and then another is 9. And once you have about 6, you can pretty much get your full energy back upon consuming them. So it's a very unique exotic ability. There are other exotics where you might get more melee back or something where you get a grenade back, but this across the board gives you all of your abilities. So really fun to use. The secondary sidearm I'm going to run is the Traveler's Judgment sidearm. It's an adaptive frame, so it's got that 3-round burst and insane stability. It's basically a laser beam. With tap the trigger, rapid hit, and ricochet rounds with a range masterwork, makes it compete with hand cannons pretty nicely in kind of a medium range. Once you get into the longer range, you're toast, but you have to play smarter with this build for sure. That's when comes using your awareness of the map and making sure that you're not putting yourself in longer lanes. You'll see how it goes during the gameplay. I have Hammerhead as my heavy, and then Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves is the exotic to pair with this because it is wholly based around sidearms. Spring-loaded mounting is the armor perk, and it increases sidearm ready and reload speed. While you're critically wounded, swapping to a sidearm increases its damage. So anytime your health drops to about 1/3, you are going to get increased sidearm damage. This makes your survivability in Crucible when you're running dual sidearms even better. You're already going to have that fast swappability, so almost instantaneous sidearm ready speed, plus the bonus damage. And we're going to get into a little bit more bonus damage with the current build I have as well. So throw these on. It is a very underused exotic. For obvious reasons, there's so many better exotics that you can use, but I wanted to give a try to see how this would perform. So here come the mods. And I'm going to be running a Charged with Light build for Crucible. We have Surprise Attack, which while charged with light, reloading or readying a sidearm will consume all stacks of Charged with Light and convert them into stacks of major damage buff. And then they're depleted as you damage combatants with that sidearm. So if you remember, anytime we swap to a sidearm when we're critically wounded, we're already getting a buff through Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves. This way, if we ever get charged with light and then swap to a sidearm, we are going to get bonus damage right there as well. And running dual sidearms means that you're not even gonna have to worry about which weapon you're running at the time. It's always going to be active. We also have Protective Light to give us some damage resistance when we're charged with light, and then High Energy Fire to give us bonus damage when we're charged with light. So this means you don't necessarily have to be swapping to your sidearm to do bonus damage. If you're in like the middle of a crazy fight and you're not even thinking about it, and you're charged with light, you're already going to get a bonus damage. We're trying to maximize as much extra DPS as we can with these sidearms. The final mod that we're going to have is Taking Charge. So this means the only way to get Charged with Light is to pick up orbs. So hopefully your teammates are making some orbs for you. You will be making orbs with your Way of the Trapper super, and you will be making orbs with the Traveler's Judgment sidearm and Hammerhead, or whatever legendary heavy you have. It's too bad that Traveler's Chosen doesn't have a catalyst. Otherwise, we could be doubling down on the amount of orbs we could create, but that's just how it's going to work for today. I haven't done much looking into my stats, as you all know, but it's a decent number with 78 as recovery. I will take that, and 62 on mobility. Both of those I'd love to pump up, but I'm not going to do too much min-maxing here. We're just going to give it a run and see how it goes. Got a full match ahead for you, and it's maybe my 9th or 10th match running this build. It was a really good one overall, even though we lose, but I hope you enjoy. Alright, so we are in the control playlist. I tend to default to control just because I can kind of figure out exactly what I'm going to be doing each match instead of loading up some random modes. So this in the beginning, I've already gotten a kill with the Traveler's Judgment and then a kill with the Traveler's Chosen. I haven't had a 1v1 here. Here's one, possibly. Looks like there was someone behind me. Was able to get that kill, though. When you're using the Traveler's Chosen, you do have to remember you're not going to get that burst fire, so you have to be slapping that trigger pretty quickly. So going invisible right there probably saved my life as I try and get back. I have full health. The move there probably would have been to stay, actually, and try and get that fight. Instead of pulling heavy, I figured I would pull back, try and do a little combat here. The invisibility again, they just didn't see. They looked past me. So, I mean, this video isn't about how good invisibility is. But you can see how well it pairs with the sidearms getting closer. Right there, was able to really push up into their face and get the kill. I have 3 times Gathering Light right now, so I could pull it, but it's not going to replenish my abilities fully. So I think getting one more kill would be beneficial to get to times 6 and then do it. But looks like I didn't listen to my own advice. I was able to get just a dodge back there. So now I have times 6 from the 2 kills. Unfortunately, when you die, you don't get to keep it. So it is in your best interest to kind of be ready to use it if you're about to get into a difficult combat area. I did find that hip firing was really crispy on these sidearms. Not that mad about that, especially as a controller player. What I thought was an ill-advised super actually here turns into a pretty solid one. I'm able to defend capture point C and get 3 kills with that super. You know, I see another one loading in, so instead of capping, I'm hoping that a teammate comes up to cap that zone. Looks like there's a nice little 5 streak there, super with the sidearms as well. So no teammate actually capped C, but because of that super first, followed by chasing out with the sidearm, they didn't expect me and could get back in time to cap the zone. Otherwise, we would have been triple capped. So getting a little more headshots, obviously, is always better. And for Traveler's Judgment, that is going to be the way that I'm really able to compete, is hitting those headshots. Almost escaped that with the dodge. I just get here in time for them to cap C, unfortunately. If I was able to just escape and battle that Warlock, we might have actually held on to that 2v1 cap zone here. Its TTK is really nice. I didn't go test it. I'm sure there's plenty of videos about that already. But if you just pull it out yourself, you know, being able to get your abilities back so quickly, and then being able to swap if you're low health, get bonus damage. Most of this I'm not really thinking about throughout the game, which is kind of what I prefer. I prefer to have all of my bases covered with whether I'm swapping or low health or reloading, to kind of just get that bonus. And I'm sure the more that I play with it, the better I will be about being conscious about it. But for now, I'm just not quite there. So here's another Invis Hunter. We had a little Invis VV Invis. Still have 7 shots left. So, able to take down... Okay, well, I see you there. Able to take down 2 supers with the hammerhead and the sidearm, which is always makes you feel good. Super was a bit premature there for sure. I think the better move would have just been to wait it out and see how many more pushed. A lot of what I see here, which is kind of what I meant to have happen, is not being noticed. Using your invisibility, using the crouch, kind of get off radar, not be seen, letting your teammates draw the attention or the aggro of the enemies, and then you kind of sneak around the side. It's almost like a lone wolf type build. You know, if anyone plays Overwatch, kind of like Reaper would do, just getting around the enemy, getting on the sides, flanking, being in unexpected places. So maybe going a little bit against the grain of how you normally play Crucible, where a lot of people will stick with the team shooting and staying with their teammates and lanes. Here I have a ×6 Gathering Light, and I make an almost good play, which is replenish my abilities and then throw a grenade on the stairs instead of the wall in front of me and hit another grenade on the wall, which then in turn they would have burned up through. So the idea was there, the idea was sound, the execution was poor. We do have advantage down by like 40 right now, so the key is to keep the 2v1, and we might be able to actually pull this out. The team does a pretty good job, but there is one moment in a little bit you'll see where one of my teammates has a super to use and they hold it, and that ends up kind of dooming us. So I'm not a big fan of what I do here. So to get the kill with the help, but pulling heavy when I'm low health, you know, running away, I should have run with my teammates. So I kind of abandoned them, and then I'm stuck on the other side of this lane and trying to get through. If I had just run instead of challenge, I would have stayed alive and been able to defend B a little bit better. So it's just, that's map awareness. That's me not thinking that I should push towards B, just trying to get out and save my own skin. A little trade with a 150 hand cannon. Those always feel good when you're running a sidearm. So this is pretty much it. That's where we had a teammate with a super, I think it was a Spectral Blades, and they get the Hammer of Soul off first, and that kind of makes everyone scatter, which, yeah, the time still may not have worked out in our favor, but I do believe that, you know, one small thing like that could have changed the ending. I'm not trying to blame people, okay? I just noticed these things. It's always good to notice or rewatch like matches that are close and see what you could have done better or differently, or, you know, looking at what a teammate might have done that you think you could have done better, and keeping that in mind as you move forward. So 38 defeats, almost a 3.0 KD. Not a bad double sidearm match. So even though we lost, I had a pretty good individual performance with this loadout, and that map can be a little tricky with some of the longer lanes, but playing along the center of it and just kind of jumping out into capping the zones and pushing back into the center seemed to do pretty well for the type of play style that I was going for. And as you saw, with a solid team, you can actually have really good results and have fun with it, you know, having to get close up, not being able to sit back and just snipe or pick away with a hand cannon makes you kind of change how you play, and that's what I like to do with these loadouts. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. As usual, I'm streaming on Twitch Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time and onwards. So give me a shout there, and follow me on Twitter as well. It's pro_superhero, and I'll see you next time for the next video.